Hi guys, it's Jaden. Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to do a detailed video on the trembling, shaking, jittery symptoms from severe adrenal fatigue, health crash, and hormone imbalance. That series of videos on my channel is still the most sought after regarding the trembling, shaking, jitteriness symptoms. So I will go ahead and do a refresher and an updated video covering a lot of things that I already have covered in my other videos, and you can feel free to check those out, as well as adding a little bit more perspective, newer perspective on it now that I've fully recovered for so long, over a year, and thinking in retrospect what the newer clarity that I have on these things. So here we go. Before we get started, please do check in with your own medical professional. I am not a doctor, therapist, not a medical professional of any kind, so please do check in with your doctor and consult with them before taking on any health advice. This is my experience, my insights, and for your own information and research purposes. Okay, so with the trembling and the shaking and the jitteriness, I kind of group them all up like similar things. They're all slightly different, but similar. So let's go over the few different kinds that I experienced. So I had the just flat out trembling. Okay, so like trembling symptoms all over my body during my recovery. I had the internal buzzing, shaking, which was felt internally, and you couldn't really visually see it. And then there was the twitching, where one area of a muscle would just spasm and twitch, okay, throughout. These symptoms, I had them like literally everywhere, like tongue, lips, for some extreme areas, like nose, arms, legs, obviously. But literally everywhere. I don't think there was a part of my body that didn't have this symptom. Or these type of symptoms. And waking up and falling asleep, that little pocket of like when your consciousness is about to like go to sleep or when you're about to wake up, that little pocket is where for a long time the most obvious. Like I would just always be like, God, I'm falling asleep, and you could feel this like buzzing. Same thing when I would wake up. So like the first thing when I regain consciousness, when I'm waking up, I would have that sensation. So that was all very common throughout. Obviously, you got to check out my phases videos because it's going to break it down more clearly as far as the timelines. But it was more severe, obviously, in the first 1, 2, 3 phases. Towards the end of the third phase, a lot of things tapered off, and definitely symptom-free and back to normal. Phase 4 and phase 5 was 6 months of phase 4 for me. So it was like I was symptom-free, fully recovered for 6 months before I cleared myself, or before I pretty much claimed that I was fully recovered. Because phase 4, even though I had no symptoms and no triggers and stuff like that, I wanted to see the test of time, like how long will this last, or would I have a setback? So I gave myself 6 months, no symptoms, no setbacks, and then I was like, okay, I fully recovered. So when I reached phase 5, that was already over a year ago. Okay, and then the whole process took like about 2 years, like from the initial crash to phase 5. So altogether, it's been 3 years and forward plus for me. A lot of my, like I said, insights about it have changed, because as you recover fully and stuff, you start to remember what it was like to be normal, and you're out of that very neurotic and anxious, obsessive state. So you look at things very differently because you're chemically different. So even though I had clarity throughout like phase 1, 2, 3, 4, now that like I fully recover and have like really regained who I am, for before this crash. It's you just have a different perspective. Like you're not like, for instance, right now, right now I have a very stressful situation going on. My father passed away, and I just taken on a brand new Amazon business, which I am so busy with. Hence the reason why I haven't been able to make as many videos, and just life and what this world, all the stuff that's happening right now. And so if I, let's say, had a very late night, like all-nighter, let's say, to do that business, and I worked out hard still and stuff like that, I'm going to be exhausted just like any non-health crash person would, right? So it took a while to just fully recover and realize, like, life isn't like, you're not symptom free always, but you're not having health crash or adrenal fatigue symptoms because you're not in balance anymore. It is part of being balanced. When you overwork, you're gonna have fatigue, or if you overwork, like let's say you train too hard, your muscles shake, right? But earlier on during my recovery, I would very much associate that with being part of those symptoms, which for good reason, because when you're really still recovering, that is that those are setback, and those are triggers, and those are the no-nos that you don't want to do for recovery. And feel free to check out my videos on helpful tips on recovering, because those are important. However, once you're fully recovered, you don't look at it that way. Like, you're gonna have harder days, you're going to be fatigued sometime, but then you just like bounce right back. You don't have that chronic severe symptoms that just continue to go on even when you've like rested and yada yada yada. So check out my other videos. If you're new to my channel and this is your first video, it might not totally make sense to you until you kind of like research through my video library. So yeah, that is very different. So let's say sometimes I work out a little hard and then I play tennis, and the match went on longer than I expected. I'm, push myself past hunger. I'm gonna be a little shaky, just like anybody would. But then I eat, then I'm fine now. Versus before, when I was still in the recovery, that will send me into a major crash and setback. So that's different. And a few insights are cool, which I want to kind of bring. I guess it might bring you some reassurance, but it might not. But the waking up or falling asleep, that trembling or shaking sensation, like sometimes it's so bad that you feel like it's an earthquake. It could be one of two things for me, anyways. When I look back, one was the muscles and your body, like just overloaded mode. That it's like like you're exhausted and you're shaking. And it's felt very clearly because it's happening, but also when you're in this fight or flight mode, you're just more sensitive to every sensation in your body. So it's gonna, like, I guess, what is the word? It will be extreme because you're just in that mode. Excuse me. Because you're in that mode. Now, the other thing, and here's where might bring you some relief, is that part of the symptoms is like heart palpitations, right? So if you're getting heart palpitations from anxiety, not all heart palpitations are fine, but from anxiety or out of nervousness or whatever, chronic like anxiety stuff, that's like pretty much harmless. It's just your body will, like raise your heartbeat, and your heartbeat will feel more severe. I want to emphasize, I'm not saying that all heart palpitations are harmless and you shouldn't look into it. In fact, I encourage you to check in with your doctor. But if it turns out to be anxiety caused, generally it's not dangerous. So sometimes it's because when I was recovering, I remember this, it's that I'm sleeping in a certain position where it's pretty, and you're just tense overall, right? When you're like adrenal fatigue, health crash, overdoing your life and you are a mess, you are tense and stressed out and tight. So you'll sleep in certain positions where you're cramped up. And when you're cramped up and your heart rate, like let's say you're getting heart palpitations, it's going to shake you because it's like you're not like at ease. So, and it kind of flows. It's just kind of like you're tensed up. And so your heart's pounding. So you're shaking. So sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's that and not so much that you're actually having like the internal vibration and the shaking symptoms. Although those can happen very often too. So again, these are just my insights so that you can, find relatability, find some reassurance, in combination of working with your medical professional. I really think like these videos I make, I think they're the most beneficial when you are working on your own recovery, you're seeking professional medical help if you need it, and then you are cleared of the, fears and certain severe illnesses, and you're just focusing on recovering yourself from anxiety, from overloading your system, from hormones being out of whack, especially adrenal hormones. And then these videos really help because then you go, oh, Jaden felt like that. That's the exact same feeling I had. So I really think that's the best way to kind of utilize the information I put out and bring in certain information that you might not have known that you could look into. Okay, so let me talk a little bit more on the shaking and trembling. So they happened in random places. There was no rhyme or reason. They can happen when I'm stressed out or when I'm not stressed out. They could happen in one part of my body and not the other part, or they can happen in both parts, or they can happen everywhere. They can be frequent, short-lived, chronic. I've had it all. So, if you're experiencing any combination of any of that I just said, I had it. All the variations and all the combinations. And a thing to remember with them improving as you're recovering, along with most of the symptoms, it's not like you're more relaxed, you're feeling better than the symptoms. Like they're not that linear. Like it's not, because sometimes you're doing better overall, practicing better lifestyle, relaxation, but your symptoms are still there because that momentum it's like when it's no different than if you're driving a car really fast, you step on the brake, your car stops, but everything else is still moving forward. Eventually everything else that's moving forward will also come to a stop, but it's not going to be like synchronized as like, oh, I'm living a better lifestyle now and I've rested more. Now it should be mirroring my symptoms frequency and all that should be mirroring should be reflecting exactly like my improvements. It's not exactly that way. There might be some improvements right away. There might be some improvements that are, what is that? I'm like blinking on words this morning, but that are in place with the healing and the recovering you're doing, but not always. Like you might still have lingering momentum of symptoms that isn't going away, even though you're improving your lifestyle and everything. So that challenge really happens in phase 2 and 3, because like I said, in my videos, those two phases, you get a lot of like, you think you're better, but you're not, and you do more. So check out my other videos. I hope this video has brought more info, more insight for you if you're researching this. And I really hope the best for you on your own recovery. I can't think, be more thankful that I've fully recovered and I'm living my life. And I get to dive into new sets of challenges like my career, my future, and personal stuff versus the challenge of just surviving with like hanging on to my health because of the health crash and the adrenal fatigue and the hormonal imbalance. So my heart goes out to those of you who are experiencing this. I know it's very difficult and challenging, but I got through it. I think you can too. So Have a great rest of the week, guys, and I hope I will see you more often again gradually. And stay tuned for my next video. If you would click the like button if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the algorithm of YouTube, as well as subscribing to my channel if you like my content. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.